City is an apartment complex of over 5,000 apartments located in the Rego Park and Elmhurst region of Queens, New York. It is a thriving community of about 5,000 families from all walks of life. It is a bustling community with shops, restaurants, supermarkets, a library, and schools. And it is also within a short walking distance from the Queens Mall, as well as a host of other big department stores and the subway. Lefrak City is part of the Queens Local Board 4 and has a voting site located in the community center of the Queens Mall. We went to this voting site to see how the election was going. We spoke to the president of the Lefrak City Tenant Association, Michelle Durnston. Hello everybody and welcome to Africa on the Rise, your show that brings you all the relevant, positive and uplifting information emanating from the motherland of Africa and of course the diaspora. My name is Chinyere Obina and I'm the executive director of this show, Africa on the Rise. Today we're standing by the community room at the Rego Center Mall where the early voting is taking place. People have been coming in all day. You can see the lines stretching all the way to the end of the block and all the way around the block and all the way to the other side. We're here live right now in New York City and we are speaking to the president of the Lefrak City Tenant Association. Her name is Miss Michelle Durnston. Can you please tell us a little bit about your role and what you do?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michelle Durnston. I am the president of Lefrak City Tenant Association, and we are an organization that come together with the community to ensure the needs and wants of the tenants in Lefrak City.
Thank you so much. So, what are your challenges right now? Because arguably, we are at the cusp of the most pivotal election, presidential election in American history. What are your challenges in making sure that the tenants are doing the early voting?
Well, right now, I'm telling you that it's been outstanding. The tenants have showed up, but the residents here in Lefrak City have been out and getting their vote counted. And I'm very proud of them to be able to do that. And also our councilmen and our assemblymen, all the elected officials have joined in to make sure that this is a smooth sailing election and it's going well.
Wonderful. I heard that previously you did experience some challenges in getting this community to be part of the voting process. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of that and how you were able to resolve it?
Well, the only challenge that we had is not getting the information out in an appropriate time. You know, people did not utilize the early voting. You know, it was a low turnout last election, and now I have to say that it's turned around. These election days, they have been in hundreds of numbers coming out early to vote before November 3rd.
Thank you so much. So how has the community changed from the time you became elected as the president?
Well, we are together. We are working together as a community. We help each other, and our elected officials also contribute to, you know, since the pandemic, making sure that our residents have face masks, hand sanitizers, food. Every elected official have donated food to our community, and we are working together as a team. It takes teamwork, and that's what we're doing. And I'm thankful and grateful to represent Lefrak City.
Okay, it seems like your community is a very diverse community with different people from different backgrounds. Can you give us a little bit of the demographics of this community?
Well, we are very diverse. We are a city within a city. It's over 5,000 families that live out here. And so we are all represented well in this community.
Can you tell me a little bit about the Africans that are also a part of your community? What kind of role that they're playing and how they are progressing and moving up in this society?
Well, the African community out here is very active. Thanks to Dr. George O'Hara.
Honora?
Yes, Honora. He is a very active member in our community. And also we have the churches, you know, that reaches out to the community and they're doing an excellent job in being represented in Lefrak City.
Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure speaking to you. Continue to keep up the awesome job. Thank you.
Vote, 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 vote.
Vote. We're standing here in front of the community board number 4, where they are practicing early voting right now. Standing here next to me is Sylvia. She is the president of the Friends of the Library for this community. Can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
My name is Sylvia M. Martin. I am Friends of the Library at Lefrak City, and I'm also on Community Board 4. And what I do is we advocate for the library, like funds for the children, because we desperately need funds for the kids, and to renovate our library. But so far we have been coming together, working with Miss Michelle Durnston, who's the president of Lefrak City, and she has been helping us out all together. The main thing is coming together. And the reason why I support these elected officials is because they have been very supportive of the programs in the library. They have been supported in giving out food, masks, sanitizer, and I want to do whatever it takes to come out and vote. Main thing is vote.
How has the pandemic affected the activities of the library as well as the funding?
Well, it has affected us tremendously because all programs has been shut down. But what I have been doing is sitting down with kids, reading to the kids out back in the courtyards at Lefrak City. I have been sponsoring other kids that need supplies for schools and whatever.
Thank you so very much, Sylvia, for your participation. We're standing here with Margaret. Margaret is one of the members of this community board, and she's also one of the early voters. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience here at the Lefrak City Tenant Association?
Well, I'm part of working with George and Michelle. We come out, we help the community. Sometimes I volunteer when I'm needed. And the early voting this year, I came early, and I was very, very happy that I could get in on Saturday. It took me just 10-15 minutes to vote.
Thank you. I understand that you're from Africa. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience as an African living here in this community?
Yes, I'm from Cameroon, southern Cameroon, the English side of Cameroon, called Ambazonia. And I've been in this community for a long time, right? And we Africans try to meet and support each other. So through the community, I've met George and Michelle, and as Africans, we're trying very much so to make a difference. We are lucky or blessed that in America we are able to vote and our vote counts. So it's a happy thing for us to be here and vote.
Can you give us an idea of the demographics of the Africans that are here, the countries by representation and what they do?
Oh, we have Nigerians, we have Cameroonians, we have people from Ghana. So it's a diverse community, and some of us work in hotels, some of us work in hospitals. So it's a mixed community, and we celebrate our African cultures, right? So when you come here, you can see people who dress up in their African attires, and so we add a spice in our community.
Thank you. I understand that there's some kind of upheaval going on in your country right now. So as compared to what's going on in America, can you give us a comparison?
Yes. In Africa, we have a long way to go. In my country, whether you vote, your vote will never count because one person still has to win anyway. So in southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, we have a problem going on where the English side has been marginalized for a long time. And we are trying to be independent of the French. So now we have a war going on, killing the people just because they want to be independent. So when we vote, our vote does not count because we are like 25% of Cameroon on the English side. So in America, when we come here, we have the opportunity for our voice to be heard. So when we take this experience, we would like to go back home to at least help our families, help all the citizens of our country so that they too can have a better life. We were asking for freedom.
So what are the steps that you are taking and you and the people in your community are taking to try to bring the world's attention to all these things that's going on in your country?
Okay, we rally. We have Amazonia website that we have a government acting our community from Africa. We put together, we go for rallies, we write letters, we go for the community. We try to send out the information that's going on in our country. We give handouts. We try to get people, it's Africa, they don't talk much about us. They don't talk much about it, and that's the sad thing, because for 3 years the war has been going on and it's not been revealed. But now Nigeria too, sadly, Nigeria too is being part. So hopefully they'll be able to help bring our own issue up as Nigeria is fighting, Cameroon is fighting. We are next door neighbors. So we hope that our politicians will respect humanity, because they kill people, they slaughter people just because of their own birthright. I think it's wrong.
So what do you think that the UN body and the American government can do to intervene in this issue?
Okay, the UN, we've been trying. The US, they know. I think they've gone there, they've seen all the killings, the horrific, barbaric things that is going on. And we are hoping and praying that when Rwanda was going on, they said no more Rwanda, because how many people died in Rwanda? Right now we have internally displaced people running to Nigeria. We have people living in bushes. We have people who need help. People are dying. They just killed young people. So we pray that with this election in America will be able to know about the plight of Amazonia.
Thank you so much for all the information and for having us here. As you can see, we're still in the community where the people are voting. This is the early voting that's taking place, and the people from the community, they are coming in by the droves. The line goes all the way around the corner and to the next block. So it draws around 2 blocks actually radius of people who have been coming in to vote early. So this early voting truly works. The democratic process appears to be moving smoothly at the Lefrak City community, where the residents are coming out in droves to vote early and be a part of the process. But it wasn't always this way. In late 2017, the Board of Election took steps to remove the polling site from the community and move it elsewhere, citing accessibility issues. But the residents of this district stood up against the Board of Election and took them to court. Representing the community in this issue was a labor attorney named Felder, who led them to victory. Mr. Felder is here with us today. Today, on the night of the presidential election in the United States of America, we are speaking with a labor lawyer and district leader of the 28th Assembly District in Queens, Mr. Felder. Welcome to the show, Mr. Felder.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. I really appreciate you having me, especially on such a historic night like this one.
Yes. So you are a labor attorney and a district leader. Could you first of all elaborate on the functions of a district leader?
Yes. So, well, thank you for having me here. It's an honor to be with you.
Thank you so much.
So I am a elected Democratic Party district leader, and what that means is I have a role in the affairs of the county party here in Queens, from helping select nominees to run for judgeships, and also liaising with our public officials at the local level, at the city council, at the state assembly, at the state senators, and being very involved in all things community. That's essentially what a district leader does.
So basically you are working very hard behind the scenes.
That's right, behind the scenes, and on a volunteer basis. This is not for any money at all. But it's a labor of love, and I'm recently elected in June, so I like to think I've hit the ground running.
Beautiful. So talking about labor of love, you are also a labor attorney. Could you elaborate to us how a labor lawyer differentiates from a regular lawyer?
Sure. Well, it's an area of practice, and I'll say it's my true labor of love, if I may say so. And I represent essential workers, frontline building service workers, like the porters and the doormen and the superintendents in this building where we sit. And I represent as the Service Employees International Union, Local 32 BJ. We have workers, our members all around the East Coast, around 180,000, and I basically represent them in legal hearings, proceedings around the country, fighting for their jobs and for dignity and respect in the workplace.
You may look very laid back, but I can tell that you pack a very serious punch. Wow. As a lawyer, you are also the champion for the underdog and the privileged. You fought for the people of Lefrak City when their voting rights were taken away, and you won. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
That's right. Well, let me just say first, you're way too kind in your characterization of me. But yes, I did represent Lefrak City in a voting rights case, which really amounted to deliberate voter suppression in Queens and Lefrak City by the Board of Elections and by the local Democratic Party of Lefrak City voters. So where they arbitrarily relocated a long-standing polling location a month before a city council primary election without much in the way of notice or comment or consultation with the community at all. And it just so happens I was on my lunch break at work, walking up Broadway in Manhattan, and I see a small group of people talking about, voter suppression in New York City and a poll site being taken away. And it happened to be Bertha Lewis, who is the long-standing civil rights icon and champion in this city and of national stature. And the next thing you know, they needed a lawyer, and I was there to help in any way I can. And it was quite a struggle that ended up being successful, where we won in court 3 different times. And in the end, as we sit here today, Lefrak voters are currently voting where they live, in Lefrak City, which has been the case for many decades, and it should be the case.
So last week I happened to be at the Lefrak City voting site, and I saw so many people stretched out, long lines of people for miles and miles around. And I have to say that you are directly responsible for this victory. Well, how does it feel?
Well, I'll say, and that's a very kind way of putting it. I like to say that I was part of a grassroots movement of community leaders in Lefrak City who came together to say that we were not going to accept voter suppression. And as you saw, on those lines were people who are older, senior citizens, people who are disabled, and they very well might not be able to go vote a mile away. They might not be able to afford access, right? Especially right now in the time of COVID, where it's that much harder to vote for so many folks. So yes, it feels really terrific to have played a role in helping folks access what is a sacred right, the right to vote, that has been denied for too many of our people, of our citizens, especially in the African American community, for all too long. And we're seeing that today with voter suppression being an ongoing problem in the country.
So can something like this happen in a country like America, where the democratic process is supposed to be everybody's right?
That's right. Well, as we're seeing right now, and what we've seen recently, is democracy is under threat around the world, and particularly so here in the United States. We like to think of ourselves as the beacon of democracy, but it's really only been a few decades since we had what can really only be described as something resembling a democracy, as opposed to a racial apartheid system of voting in large parts of the country, particularly in the South in the United States. So we have to really, look at our history, learn from our history, acknowledge our history, and try and make it such that everyone has opportunity and the right to vote, and the chance to have a shot at the American dream.
I can see that you're extremely passionate about people's rights and civil rights, and you have been campaigning very vigorously all over different parts of the country. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, so through my job, fortunately, it's a privilege, I like to say, to work at the organization that I do. And we've been on the ground campaigning in Pennsylvania, we being the Service Employees International Union, for the last several weeks, going door to door, meeting union voters and voters from every which background in Philadelphia, trying to get folks to go out and make their voice heard at the polls, because all too many people in positions of power do not want people to vote, as we've seen. So it's all the more important, all the more paramount that we have a lot of people voting, and it appears that that's what's been happening this election cycle, which is heartening to see.
We have been getting reports of voter intimidation by the pollsters at the polls, and being told that they better vote for a particular candidate or else.
Mm-hmm.
What do you advise people in that kind of situation?
Yeah, I mean, the authorities, will say that there's zero tolerance for that type of intimidation, but the reality is a lot of it goes, unpunished, and it's a terrible thing where people are, under the guise of observing poll sites, really just intimidating voters, and it's just unacceptable. I saw, some semblance of that, where you had 2-minute long caravans of trucks. It almost had this feeling of like a military parade for one of the candidates, and I'll say it was all Trump people. And it really was quite disturbing to see. And you could see that type of intensity and sharpness can really, make people feel intimidated at the poll sites, especially given the history that exists in a lot of these communities and the trauma that is there.
So would you say that democracy is in danger or under threat at this time?
Absolutely, without question. I think that there's certainly no doubt about it that democracy, as we've known it, is very much under assault. Just the very notion of truth. I mean, in a democratic society, if the public cannot agree upon an accepted set of facts, then how do you have discourse and debate about issues of common concern? That's the basis, the essence of democracy. So, when you have this sort of mistrust and this sowing of division and this assault on the notion of truth, you have a real crisis of democracy.
Okay. So I know that you are someone who is not a stranger to controversy, but in the right way. You also ran for the position of the district leader, which you won. Congratulations on that. There was a little bit of controversy stemming from the incumbents who had some concerns. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. I mean, I ran as a reformer, and here in Queens there's a lot of entrenchment. So we like to say that we're the reformers running against the machine. And what do we mean by the machine? We mean, a set of, office holders who are in power, who don't ordinarily get challenged in elections, and just sort of, kind of like the status quo just keeps on going. So we like to say among us reformers that we're trying to build a culture of democracy here in Queens away from machine politics, which is centered in loyalty and patronage and a paternalistic political culture. And we're trying to say that no, it's not about that. It's about, serving people. It's about transparency, accountability, and open discourse and debate, and a truly democratic borough.
So it looks like what we're seeing at the top is not really an isolated case. That's what it looks like.
That's true. That's a very fair. That's a good point. It's a very fair point. How it's not just Trump in the White House. There's a lot to be said about having to rebuild democracy at the local level, and that's a large part of the reason why I decided to become a reform candidate for district leader alongside other candidates who ran across the borough. And I think it's all too important. When voters are not engaged, then democracy, it decays.
So with your experience as a labor attorney, as well as all the victory that you have under your belt, your passion for helping the underdog, any plans for running for future office?
We'll see. I think that something as paramount and something as monumental as running for public office, you really have to know why you're doing it and what sort of change you're seeking to make through the office that you're running for. I haven't figured out an answer to that question yet, but it's very possible. We'll see. It remains to be determined.
Looking forward to that.
Thank you. That's very kind. I'll give you a call. You'll be the first person if I decide to make a run.
Absolutely, yes. So I heard also that you used to be a banker, and that's quite a very lucrative career to have. So what made you decide to take the jump from something like that to being a labor attorney, which sometimes is an unpaid job?
You sound like exactly my parents. What did you decide to do? You left a lucrative job in order to be a labor lawyer, but really, I say it was the best decision I ever made. I was working in banking for several years, and I saw how workers, ordinary people didn't have a voice in their livelihoods, how they were simply expendable. They were, lines on a balance sheet or on an Excel spreadsheet. And I decided that I needed to be making a difference and giving voice to people who didn't have a voice. And that's how I decided to make the transition to become a union lawyer. And haven't stopped, haven't looked back.
So any prediction on the outcome of the current presidential election?
I'm feeling confident as we sit here today. I feel confident. Look, I've seen a lot of Trump signs, a lot of Trump flags in the last 2 weeks, but I just have to think that after all that we've lived through these last 5 years, our better angels will come out tonight, and there'll be something to be hopeful about again.
So there you have it, Mr. Ethan Felder, a human rights activist, a fight for the underdog, a champion for the underprivileged. We are so privileged to have you here tonight, and we look forward to your future endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So thank you so much for watching Africa on the Rise. Please join us next month as we bring you more of the exciting people right here at Africa on the Rise. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Chinyere Obina Onwechekwa, and I'm the author of the book series Dictates of the Heart, as well as the executive director of this show, Africa on the Rise. Thank you once again. Have a great day. Please join us every month on the QPTV network, every last Monday of the month and every last Friday of the month. Also, follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. You can also send us an email at africaontherise@yahoo.com. Thank you so very much for joining us once again at Africa on the Rise. My name is Chinyere Obina Onwechekwa, and I'm your moderator for the show Africa on the Rise. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.